Hi, and I have to peek on the clock. Good morning. It is 9 o'clock at the moment, so it is a very good morning. This video is a rarity. This is different from all the other videos that you see on this channel. On this channel I follow a format saying you join Henk-Jan whilst he is cruising Lady Liselot through the Netherlands and a little bit further on, and that also means that automatically means no boat jobs and no boat tour. I'm in Gent at the moment. In the previous video you saw me go from Lake Veer towards Terneuzen and towards Gent in Belgium, and that is because I wanted to meet two people, Tim and Karina, who are rebuilding a hotel boat at the moment. They were in Greece, living the life, and all of a sudden, at least that seemed to me, all of a sudden they decided to start a hotel boat and they moved to Belgium. What is going on? So my curiosity made that I decided to go and visit them, meet them in person after 3 years, and ask them all kinds of questions. They are an inspiration to me, and perhaps after you see this interview, you can say the same. So please join me and be a fly on the wall whilst I ask them all kinds of questions why they make the decisions that they made. Wanna join? Come on then, let's go.
What do I know about starting a hotel business?
Yeah.
I know nothing about I know a lot more now, but I know nothing about starting a hotel business. But what I do know is it's going to be a lot more expensive than I expect.
Yeah.
All right. Like sometimes, I said earlier, it's what's the worst that could happen, but also what's the worst that could happen if we don't act, right?
Yeah.
That
is also one thing.
And like we know that we need to start.
It is coffee time aboard Delphine. So I suggest you grab something to eat. We have Belgium speculoos and something to drink. And let's enjoy this joyful moment together. Cheers to the both of you.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Well, welcome aboard. It's exciting to have you here to join us. It
is something, eh?
It's been a while. Like, I think I was trying to remember when I first met you, and it was online, and it was probably when we were in Greece on our boat Matilda, and we just moved there and started, and we were looking at a bunch of YouTube channels about people on boats, and there was this strange Dutch man with this boat, Envy Lady Liselot,
and I remember Tim going, "Hey Karina, check out this guy."
I think that it happens.
We just fell in love.
You fell in love.
Yeah.
Oh, there's an expression.
Your style and everything is so
very natural, very relatable. And then I'm not sure, but at some point I left a comment, or you left a comment, and then
we found on each other on Facebook,
right?
And we started to chat, and that is because is it ancestors? Is that the correct word?
My father was born in Eindhoven in the Netherlands. So that was sort of a connection there.
Part of it. And then you were interested in going to Greece. You've been talking about going to Greece. We were in Greece, of the Mediterranean, and so that was that. And so it grew from there. And then when, I know that you follow the blog that I write every week. I talk about our adventures on our boat and on Delphine and what we're doing and things like that. And then back then on Matilda. And so this has just been part of that journey. And then currently we're in Gent, and last week we had to go to Terneuzen, which is in the Netherlands, which is 30 kilometers up the canal. And when we were there, Henk-Jan is like,
it is silly that we have not met in real life yet, because I I planned to go to the Met. And then something happened aboard Lady Liselot with my engines. I had to wait for spare parts. And then something happened with my water maker, and I had to wait for spare parts. And then something else happened, and I had to wait, etc., etc. So I planned to leave the Netherlands in the first week of May already, and now it is July.
Yeah.
So I was there on this fierce Lake Veer,
Yeah.
and then I thought, how silly it is that it is only 80 kilometers. Why should I not go and meet you guys in real life?
That was so sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But okay, here we are.
Yep,
And
we
here
did
we are.
it. We did
And
it.
we arrived, so
Yeah.
Lady Liselot arrived yesterday, tied up now alongside Delphine. We're here in Gent. And yeah, we were looking for a boat we could bring, make a hotel boat again.
Yeah.
And that's the plan. We'll operate it as a small cruise ship with 4 guests.
Yeah. And the moment that I read a story, and I think that you even private messaged me before you sent out the blog.
Probably.
You said, Henk, I want to tell you something that perhaps you will read, but we are planning to leave Greece and we are planning to buy a passenger boat for B&B.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I can remember that I thought, oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's
It was a big decision.
Because
Yeah.
you were cruising in Greece, enjoying the life, coming to Belgium, buying a boat. Where do you buy these large boats? Where do you find a berth, etc., etc.?
I remember you saying, where are you going to berth this?
And for sure, because in the Netherlands, as an inhabitant of the Netherlands and Belgium, everybody says it is impossible. And you guys, you fixed it, you arranged it, you got it done. And that made me become more interested in your whole story. And you wrote your book, and that was primarily about your adventures in Greece and how to get the boat, etc., etc. But originally, you are from Australia.
Yes. Yeah.
So how do a couple of people from Australia end up in Belgium?
You know, even the people in Belgium ask us this all the time. I think they're so puzzled. Like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
In our unknown little country.
Yeah.
Like, why did you pick us?
Yeah.
And we're like,
What
are
happened?
you kidding? Like, this is amazing. We love it here.
Yeah, exactly.
But Belgium wasn't really part of our plan necessarily.
No.
We had thought, like, when we decided to, change our life a bit and get a barge, run a hotel.
Yeah.
In our minds, we were thinking France.
Yeah.
And I love everything French.
Yeah.
Tim's, learnt French. I learnt French at school.
Yeah.
We were brushing up. We were eating lots of cheese.
Yeah,
drinking lots of wine.
To get used to it.
That's right.
Yeah.
These are the sacrifices you have to make.
I understand. I
was genuinely excited to, do the south of France and, really understand France. So, Belgium, I think, also came as a bit of a surprise for us.
Let me interrupt you, and then let's start in Australia.
The beginning.
Let's start in the beginning. What happened over there? Because to me, and perhaps for the viewer also, it is almost common that the moment that you are born in a village with a family, you stick to that family, you stick to that surroundings, you stick to that village, and perhaps you live in another village close by. But many, many, many people in the Western society are more common to live near their family. So besides the fact that you are from Australia and then you make the jump to America, please explain what happened over there.
It's always been my aspiration to live overseas. I think, one of the things that's partially my upbringing. With my parents, I travelled and lived in the Middle East when I went to school in Jordan for 4 years when I was growing up, because Dad was working over there. And so, I had grown up in those sort of fairly formative pre-teen, early teenage years of being very like experiencing a lot of different cultures and seeing that the world is this grand, big, exciting place. And I always knew from the minute that I got back to Australia and was in high school that I was never going to be happy just being in Australia. It's just like, sort of, it's part of my DNA almost.
Yeah. You want to break out.
I want to break out.
I want to break free.
I want to break free. And so that's sort of part of it. And so I've always looked for opportunities where that's a possibility. You know, whether it was when I was working, at a large accounting firm, if it was trying to engineer a role that allowed me to travel with that role, or move myself into a role that actually, got me positioned overseas in London for a year with the family. These were the sorts of things that I was trying to make happen in my job. Yeah. So that was sort of one part of it. So that's always been kind of in my DNA, and I'm very fortunate that when I met Karina, that I found someone that
would be my next question. Yeah, because it almost feels as if she follows, but we have been now for 24 hours together. You are not a follower.
No, that's interesting. I think when I think about our journey and our ability to relocate, we're relocation experts now. We've just done it so many times. I think it started when we were like 21 and 22. Before we got married even. We left Adelaide, our hometown, my hometown, Adelaide, where my grandparents were, where my parents were. And that was the first sort of extraction in a way. And I feel lucky in that, my parents didn't hold me back. You love someone, you set them free, and they came to the airport and they waved me goodbye and they wished me luck, and that worked out well. And I remember flying from Adelaide to Perth, which is what, a 2-hour, 4-hour flight. I remember crying just about the whole time because I'd never really ventured out of my hometown that much. I'd done one trip to Sydney and one trip to Melbourne with like university friends, and that's it. But I really hadn't travelled much. But I think that first move, and then living in Perth, and having Tim there as a support system for me as well, just loved it. I just thrived in new environments. Meeting new people and everything.
It is interesting, like the family, that sort of family history. Like all of Karina's family is still in Adelaide. Pretty much.
So the thing that I just started my sentence is exactly that.
True.
That's exactly
They are all close together.
But for my family, they live in
all over the world.
And our family, our kids live all over the world. But my parents, we were living, when we were back in Australia, we were living in Melbourne. My parents were living in Singapore and working overseas. My sister would move from Perth up to then across to Queensland. That's like, whatever the width of Australia, 8,000 kilometres, I don't know. So a long way. And then my brother, still, actually Ben, interestingly, my brother still lives kind of around where he grew up, but a couple of villages over, sort of thing. Little small towns, we would say.
So then you decide to start a family because the kids were born in Australia. Is that correct?
That's right, in Melbourne.
So we had 6 years of married life together before the kids came, and that was nice because we moved from Perth to Sydney. And again, we started again, made new friends, reinvented. I mean, that's what I like about moving too, is it's like a reset button. You can think about, what friends do I really want to find now? What job do I really want?
Sorry to all our old friends.
But because the change forces you are then forced to be very deliberate about where you live and what job, and do we need a car? Do we not need a car? You're really conscious about these things.
And you can actually,
but the thing is that pops up in my mind. I am living on my own. I am very solo. People would not tell, but I am a little bit human shy, perhaps. Is that a correct English word? So the moment that Karina says, what new people to pick, what friends to pick, immediately my brain starts, how does that work? How do you find new people? Of course, on the tennis court, and in the football club, and in a bar, and at work, etc., etc. But how do you make your decision that you find the correct people around you?
I think like anywhere, when we were working, it's through work.
Yeah.
But having, so to sort of like leap forward a bit, basically we were in Australia for a long time. We had the kids, and then when the kids were about sort of 10, we made the decision to move to the US. I left the accounting firm. I really wanted to be, I desperately needed to be entrepreneurial. We talked about, this sort of thing of being entrepreneurs, people that want to do things but never do.
Yeah.
I have to do them. I can't I don't always stick with it, that's probably fair, but I can't see something that I want to do and not give it a go. And so... Can
I intercede? Classic example. We're in bed this morning and some new shelves had just arrived in the mail the day before. The new shelves are sitting wrapped in their plastic, ready to be installed, and Tim's like, before I make your coffee, should I just install that shelf so you can put the coffee down on the shelf?
Right.
He's action man.
Yeah.
And it's, 7:15 and I'm like, I don't want you drilling right next to me in the bed. No.
So the shelves are still in the plastic.
He did it.
The shelves are
really?
It was in his mind, he was motivated, he just wanted to do it.
So it is 1, 2, 3, go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of that, like it's like that. And so I quit the job, I started and this was kind of around the time of the global financial crisis. So there was a lot of uncertainty at work. They were laying people off.
2006, 2007, 2008.
Yeah, this was this sort of time of like, now's a good time to do it. Now's the time to seek change and not just sit back and wait for things I hate waiting for things to happen. I've got to I'd rather quit than be fired,
Maybe you got a bit of a nudge too, in that his employer at the time was saying you must all take annual leave.
Yeah, that was part of it.
And you were forced to take leave.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, for a very, focused, career-oriented person, Tim had a forced 2-week break.
Yeah.
And there was no school holidays, and I was still working. And so...
his brain went mad.
He went, what should I do?
Yeah, so then I started into startup stuff. But just, move the story along. It's like, that's all sort of part of it. But that's what then led to us
moving to
a company that was a tiny startup that no one's ever heard of, but then I got acquired by a company in the US.
Yeah.
It sounds more impressive than it really was, but what it was a sponsored move to the US to come and work with those guys, which was great.
Yeah.
And so that's what brought us there.
Yeah. Just a step back. You have some knowledge. You started your company.
Yeah.
People in the States were interested in it, and they said, "Will you come and join us? And we pay you for etc."
Yeah. Pretty much exactly what happened.
That kind of takeover.
A bunch of stock that ended up not being worth any money. I got some cash that basically covered 2 years of salary that I hadn't earned whilst I've been building my startup.
Yeah.
And that was enough for us to go.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of risk involved in that, but one of the things we sort of talked about is like, what's the worst thing that can happen? We always sort of ask, what's the worst thing that can happen? And that sounds kind of negative, but usually for us, we look at the worst thing and go, it's not so bad, right? Like, we're not going to end up homeless on the street. We're not, which is nothing, we're not, the worst thing that can happen maybe is we have to sell our house and rent somewhere while we go and find another normal job and earn normal money. Like, that's the worst thing that can happen. And we look at that, and I think for some people that would be, oh my God, that's just too terrifying.
That is what I think.
But
not as me as a person,
right?
But I think that everybody has thought, what is the worst thing that could happen?
Yeah.
And then we stop taking action, because the worst thing that could happen is already worse enough not to take action.
Yeah, it's too
but
scary.
It seems that you guys are not influenced by that. You look on the positive things.
Usually I look at the worst thing that could happen and think, wow, if the worst thing that happened is I had to sell my house.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
I
we
don't
didn't grow
want
up
to,
in the
but
house. We're not that attached
we've moved
to it,
around a lot. I'm not attached to
Just
it.
a house.
It's just a house.
Just a house.
So that's how we look at it. And then I like to think about, well, what's the best thing that can happen?
Yeah.
We spoke about this. So I'd often look at, I think we've always looked at our lives in sort of 5-year chunks.
Yeah.
And we ask ourselves, two questions. One is, what do I really want to be doing? And the other one, which is related to that, is it this? And often the answer is what
I'm
doing right now.
Yeah.
And often the answer to what do I really want to be doing and is it this are not the same thing,
Oh.
Like,
I've been there many times.
yeah. And so to me, you then have to look at that and you have to think about, well, how do I get intentional about it? So Karina says, I have a plan and I do it. I'm definitely take a big goal, right? Like a big goal, like moving to Greece.
Yeah.
And what I've found time and time again is that it is possible to break that down into very, very simple, achievable steps.
Yeah.
And so, for a long time, I was like a wantrepreneur when it comes to moving onto a boat.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a really stupid thing, right? Like not moving, maybe moving onto a boat is a stupid thing, but
it's another video.
Right, that's another video about why you shouldn't do it. But the thing about it was just, I've always had that itch and that desire, but there was just this point in my life, I think, around when I turned 40, where I sort of stopped and I thought about this, and I suddenly had this vague thing of, I want to sail around the world and all of this. And I sort of looked at it and said, there's really some things I should do first. Like, people go, I want to sail around the world. But I don't know how to sail. So what I do is I say, I want to sail around the world. How do I learn how to sail? And so I Googled it and I found that actually, we were living in San Francisco. There's a lot of great sailing clubs there. It's actually a really great place to learn to sail. It's fairly sporty, challenging conditions. It's considered a really, sailing area. It's a real sailing area, but also when they like to say, I don't know if this is completely true, but they do like to say there, if you can sail in San Francisco Bay, you can sail
everywhere,
right? Like it's a good spot to kind of learn.
Yeah.
And so I started with that.
Yeah.
And you know what? I actually don't really want to sail around the world anymore. Kind of it's still there, but the point is I took a step along that, and as you learn more, as you take a little step and you learn more, your options open up. Now, I'm always talking to the kids about this. It's like, I don't really care whether you go to university or don't go to university. What I care about is you keep options open in your life. Don't close doors too soon. Because if you keep doors open, then who knows what's going to work through. So if you learn to sail, now all of a sudden, now there are options. Now, I didn't know this when I started, but when I started, I then found that actually, if I just want to go sailing, there's sailing clubs full of people desperate to get people to crew on their boats.
Yeah, been
and
there.
Sailing is actually relatively easy
and cheap
to go sailing on other people's boats.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, you do a lot of that. And you start that. I crewed on a race, what they call them beer cans, but weekly races. I crewed on someone else's boat.
Yeah.
I got to go out and sail and do all sorts of things.
Build my experience on the boat.
And that didn't cost me anything.
No.
It was just being in the right place and recognising that. And then with that came the confidence to do what really doesn't actually take much confidence, but it was the confidence to say, let's go on a holiday and let's do a canal boat, self-rental, self-drive canal boat in the Netherlands.
Wow.
And we did that with the family. And that was the point at which Karina realised that I think boats could be fun.
It's not that hard. Because he'd taken me out on the sailboats in San Francisco Bay, with the kids, and we're all holding on, and it was horrible. Brown water everywhere, industrial area, and I'm like, I don't get it,
Yeah.
And then
this should be fun.
Yeah, and then I went on the slightly bigger boat with your, race boat guy, and he's like, oh, you're a champagne sailor. And I'm like, yeah, that's me. I want to be comfortable.
I think that's actually, that's like, so for anyone out there that's trying to convince someone else in their life how to go sailing or get onto a boat, give them the best experiences. don't take them out. Like I did what I thought was fun. Was like, this is amazing. We're coming along. We're sailing. We're burying the rail in the water. The boat is in the water. It's fantastic.
But the other guys like, please take a seat in my princess seat.
And I'll bring you a glass of champagne, and we'll enjoy the weather, and we're just going to motor sail out.
Yeah.
Very different experiences.
So my experiences got better and better, and then being in Amsterdam, I mean, we all loved it. Yeah. It's so gorgeous. Yeah. You know, the houses, the flowers, the canals, the bridges.
And then on a boat in Amsterdam, on a canal river tour.
And it just felt like this big, indestructible, floating
had
rubber
lots
boat.
of had like endless
great.
fenders along the side.
Yeah. It was rubber the whole way or something like that.
If you saw us coming, you'd be terrified. Rightly so.
Typical rental boat.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But it made you feel safe.
Yeah, I felt safe. I mean, safe, but also it didn't feel as scary anymore. Like the interior was like an apartment.
Yeah.
You know, I could just live
cook
very
dinner,
comfortably.
you know,
And then you go up on the deck, and I would read my book up there, and I was so happy. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. It was a very good experience, and in Tim's mind, this was strategic. He's getting his wife on a boat because this is how you start to convince her that you want to do the boat thing. I was oblivious to all of that.
Yeah.
But you know, I had, I think a few years after, I'd started a new job at a new place, and I'd seen this concept of introducing yourself to like a new team and showing them who you are. 5 slides in 5 minutes or something.
Oh yeah.
And so I just put up slides, and I created the slide, and on my last slide it was about my future, and I had a picture of a Dutch barge on there. So somehow, through conversations or something, this now had become a part of my future.
Yeah.
And I think because, I have the passport from the Netherlands, and I enjoyed the trip to Amsterdam, and I just thought, I need to go back to my roots, or this is something I want to do.
Yeah.
And so now we're aligned.
Yeah, now we're on the same path.
Yeah. That does not happen often, because we also know you both use on Delphine. You use the headsets.
Yes. Yeah.
They have a nickname for those.
Marriage
savers, and that is because some marriages end aboard a boat. Because then he acts differently, or he acts completely nuts, etc., etc. So still, you have your dream.
Yeah.
And Karina has her own career path, besides kids and etc., etc., that you have both together. How did that work out for you? Because he tells us about his dream to go sailing, etc.
Yeah. I mean, my dream is just to always be with Tim. And doing what Tim's doing, like I'm just like a little handbag that goes on the shop. No, but I think.
Why is that?
Why?
Why? What is so special about this guy?
Oh goodness!
I have no idea. I'll close my ears.
I think you're raised as a young woman. You get a college education, and there is this expectation you can have it all. You can have an amazing career. You are powerful. You are intelligent. And then I just found that the reality isn't like that. I think there's a lot of luck and determination, and I just sort of felt, even though initially I had dreams of being a really highfalutin career woman, it just didn't work out. And so I think then you sort of reflect more on, well, I want to be the best at something.
Yeah.
I want to be the best wife.
And
I want to be the best mother I can be. And so I sort of changed my focus away from my career.
Yeah.
And then it began about applying for jobs that let me work part-time so I could be a good wife and mother.
Yeah.
And a happy person. Like, I'm also
that
part
is
of this equation.
very, very important.
Absolutely.
I didn't want to just be the slave to others. I also wanted, that. So the career thing, I never really had a vision of what that should be. I just knew I wanted to earn a good wage with good hours, with good people doing good work.
Yeah.
Like, nothing, too stressful.
Fancy.
Nothing fancy.
Yeah.
So that actually gave us a lot of freedom to then choose and direct our lives according to what he could earn, because he would earn more than me, right?
Yeah.
So it's worth putting our time and effort into his income generating ability.
Yeah.
while we can, you know. So that's sort of why I think I followed his dream a lot, because it just kind of worked out that way.
Yeah.
But of course, COVID changed a lot of things too. So, you know, I was 49 when I kind of retired, which is early, but that's because of COVID.
Yeah.
Because, you know, at my work, all the clients had stopped needing my expertise, and they were shedding staff, and it just kind of made sense. Everything was kind of collapsing, and there was a lot of uncertainty at the time in the US around COVID, and I sort of had that feeling of, damn, we really should get out of here. You know, and this
and out of here is the way we live, or is it the US?
It's sort of out of here for me meant both working jobs on Zoom all day. For no real passion. For no real purpose. You know, our son, our youngest, had left home. And we had thankfully already downsized the big family home, so we were just renting a flat. And so it was really easy to like, let go of the US and just walk away, you know. But not sure if that answered your question. What I
well, it is. You did not tell.
I know.
Why. So perhaps that is even better. But just to keep Tim, what's the word? Humble.
Humble. That's right. I think when we were when we were there in Silicon Valley, this recurring theme of this sort of like 5-year itch in our lives of needing to uproot and find something different. That started to sort of happen again, and that I'll be honest, like I found that period of time where the kids were at high school difficult, because that's the point in my life where in some ways I felt most trapped. When they were younger, we could move around with them. Now that they've left home, we can move around and do, but for this sort of like 10-year period in the middle, you know, you have to do the right thing for the family and for the children, and you have to let them finish their high school experience and you know, have some stability. So, but I'll be honest, we were looking forward to what was next, and so
that kept you going.
It kept me going. It was tough, but it kept me going. But I had made. I think Karina probably was happier in the US than I was.
At that time of life for me, it was almost the best. Because I had kids.
You had your kids.
And they were old enough to drive cars and do their own thing and have fun. And, you know, I've actually felt liberated a lot from my motherly duties, you know, parenting duties. And so I quite enjoyed it. I was working from home all the time, which I loved. So, I had a beautiful renovated house with a view of the bay. Like, it was a good time for me. He was miserable.
Miserable. But I found the US to not be to my taste all the time. For a bunch of different reasons.
After 15, 20 years, how long have you been there?
10 years.
Oh,
it's
10
like
years. Okay.
enough time to kind of go, you know, I wasn't happy with the politics and the direction that some things were going in and all of this sort of stuff. And so, you know, we knew that we had this kind of like, we always talk about these 5-year plans. We knew that our 5-year plan, thereabouts, was the job that I was on would be the last job I would do in the US. And then we would leave. And when we left, we would move to Europe. And we would look at moving on to probably a barge. And then COVID happened. COVID uprooted all sorts of things for all sorts of people. And it did two things. One, for us, and it sounds silly and wrong to say it, but we actually say COVID was one of the best things that happened to us, because it forced us into making some decisions sooner.
It is almost as the first moment that the company you work for, the accountancy company, said to you, we have to change things. Then you are forced to make a change. And then COVID came, and we all were forced to make a change, or to stick to the lives we live, or make a change. It also happened to me. 1 year before, and then in COVID, I went on to live on Lady Liselot because I needed another environment and another change of life.
So it forced us to make that change, and then I think that all of this sort of preparation, right? Like thinking about what you want to do, making steps towards it, learning to sail, meant that when that opportunity was there, now I'm not sitting back going, oh, this would be the perfect time for me to go and live on a boat, but shit, I don't know what I'm doing. It was actually, this is the perfect time for me to go and live on a boat. And I actually know a little bit about sailing, and I've done quite a bit of it now, and I'm not an expert, but I'm certainly more confident than I was.
I think too, when I think back on that time, we started to watch a lot of YouTube videos.
Yes.
Oh, sailing videos.
Yeah.
So that also increased our familiarity and our confidence and our understanding of the life. You know, because we didn't know anyone who lived on a boat. Like, we didn't know anyone.
And all of a sudden, you start several videos and you see that people sell their houses and they live on boats. Oh, it is possible.
Absolutely.
So it helps in growing the idea, the water to the seed.
And we'd already made the move of selling our house anyway. That was pre then, because we knew that we wanted to move into a more walkable environment. We didn't like being where we were, even though we had a lovely house. We didn't like being in the suburbs and you have to drive everywhere. We wanted to move into a city, into an apartment. The kids were going, we could downsize. So all of that had sort of happened. So just when COVID came along, we had the money from the house was sort of already there. You know, so we could make that move. And then the decision to go to Greece was really, that was pure circumstance. So this is where I think you guys are crazy. But because we are crazy, but also we're crazy in a smart way. Like in the sense that
you think
well
that's what crazy people say.
That's what crazy people say. So I think that what you see is this, right? You see the tip of the iceberg. But what you don't see is all of the thought and the preparation and everything. So at the end, it really was just a little flip, right? But it didn't change things too much. And that little flip was actually due to a couple of different things. One being COVID restrictions about where could we travel, where could we actually go to. Greece being more accessible, and then also trying to navigate EU regulations around residency. So Karina mentioned she has a Dutch passport because her grandfather was born in Eindhoven, her father was born in Eindhoven, and there are some quirks of EU law, the way that they interact with the rights of EU citizens to move versus the rights of the country of origin that they can enforce on you. The irony is, and we've seen this with a bunch of different people, if you're married to an EU citizen, which I am, it's easier to move to any EU country except the one that they're from. Because the country they're from, in her case the Netherlands, can have all these rules for their citizens about partners that come in must speak Dutch, they must do this, they must do that, But anywhere else in the EU, there's this right of free movement, and any EU country must let an EU citizen reside there, and they must recognise their foreign spouse. Done. So now all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, the barge thing in the Netherlands gets a tiny bit complicated to be resident. You know, and at the time it's COVID, there's a lack of information, it's difficult to think. Greece have got welcoming us with open arms, really, in a way. The residency thing can happen, and so we moved to Greece. And the only kind of, I mean, you know, we did the research and we looked at it, and it's like, it's not like the canals, but what it is like, and what we loved about that canal holiday in Amsterdam, around there, was that I always say boats are better than RVs, because the difference is that in most cases, boats are welcomed into the centre of the town. So, if, you know, we take Gent, and hopefully we'll get to go there and have a look around. You take Gent; it's a beautiful city. You can't bring your car in. Cars can't come into the centre.
They are not allowed anymore.
And RVs definitely cannot come into the centre again. So if you want to visit Gent in an RV, you're out in some industrial zone. Actually, funnily enough, outside the shipyard here is like one of the free parking spots. Right? it's not a pleasant environment to be. You can then hop on your bike and ride into the city, sure.
Yeah.
But if you take your boat, you can bring your home right into the centre of town.
And they welcome you.
And they welcome you pretty much.
Yeah. It's affordable, and you get a great view.
Yeah.
And you can,
And people walking by and saying, "Oh, what a beautiful boat!"
All of
Australian flag out. And
all of these things. So, so that what we saw in Greece was that the same thing could happen. Greece is, it's got 6,000 islands, give or take. 600 of them are inhabited, give or take. And every time you stop at an inhabited island, you are pulling up, if you go into the port, in the centre of town, on the main quay. And you're welcomed, generally. And then there's always endless bays to anchor in. So that's what we found. You're not doing big crossings. It's like, most days in Greece, if we travelled on the boat, we'd rarely travel more than 5 hours to get from one island to the other.
But still, to me, there's a couple who met in Australia. They have kids. They go to
London for a year.
Oh yeah, London. I forgot that one. You mentioned in one sentence, but you go for one, and then you go back to Australia. Then you still have decided both to have conversations about a 5-year plan. That is something that we hear in human resource in a company. Where do you want to be in 5 years? And then everybody thinks, fuck it.
Right here.
I have no idea, but still the people from HR ask it every time and time and time. They get the wrong answers because who sticks to its career?
Because no one honestly sees their 5-year plan still being at that company.
It is
right?
difficult, but it is so. You both, as a couple, have decided to stick to this 5-year plan. Where am I now, and where want I be, and will it be? So what I do now?
I would disagree slightly with that.
Please,
right? In the sense that the 5-year plan is not a it's not a list of must.
What does it say?
It's not set in stone. Right?
It's
not set in stone. What it is a guiding set of thoughts or principles in a way of where do we want our life to be and how do we want to experience it. And back to what I was saying about learning to sail. As you take steps towards that journey, not everyone, but I think a lot of people, when they look at this, they try and go from 0 to hero like that. And that's very difficult to do. But if you take little intentional steps towards this, then you move closer and closer and you start to learn what it is that you don't know. And you start to see the thing. Now, as you do that, this actually is interesting. We're talking about, you have a goal to move to the Mediterranean, you have a decision to make, right? You're perfectly capable of going to the Mediterranean, but as you've learned more about it and as you look at what you like and you don't like, you start to think about it and you start to say, is that what I really want to do? It doesn't invalidate the plan, which was to go to the Mediterranean. It set you on a goal and a path. And you might get there or you might not.
Exactly.
The key is to not view that as failure, right? Like, not getting to go to the Med is not failure. It's actually, we make decisions in the moment with the information that we have to hand. Now, when we bought this boat, like we moved to Delphine, so we've been in Greece, it's great. We lived there a bunch of years, it's wonderful. New information comes to hand, we have to sit back and look at what we're doing. And that new information that comes to hand is basically, although we've retired and we've not worked for 4 years, we probably need to start thinking about making some moves to make some money again. It doesn't invalidate the decision to go to Greece and be on the boat. It's still wonderful. And we've got a lot more information about what living on a boat is like. In fact, what we know is we love it.
We're actually good at it.
We're good at it, we love it.
We don't know a lot about hospitality, running a hotel, but we know boats. So we felt really confident about that.
We felt confident about that. So we reevaluate where we're at with the new information. And again, that's that sort of iceberg metaphor for me of, on the surface you see a couple of people that are in Greece on a boat that have suddenly flipped and decided that they're going to go and buy a barge. But underneath that, what's going on is this thought that, well, we need to kind of get back into a position where we can earn some money from it. I don't have your personality, so I'm not going to be a YouTuber with, all the followers. I could never come up with, it's coffee time.
No, you did.
But there's all of this experience that you've been building underneath, and so what we're really doing is looking at this and saying, I know what I don't want. Right? What I don't want is to go back to tech. I don't want to go back to sitting at a computer, sitting on Zoom meetings, grinding away, managing a team of people, trying to make things. I don't want to do that anymore. I love. One thing about boats is everything is always breaking. But another thing about boats is that often you can fix things fairly quickly, and I love that, as Karina was saying.
He likes to go and buy new tools for specific jobs.
I do like buying new tools.
Really fun. It's really fun for him. Oh, I've done some research. I need this particular thing.
I have half of the do-it-yourself shop is aboard Lady Liselot.
Yeah, exactly.
But he loves a challenge and a problem. And the mental satisfaction.
But that is from tech, because I have been in automation for years as a programmer and as an analyst, and I felt very, very happy in those jobs because it came to my core, and my core is to analyze things that the English have a nice saying, I found myself thinking. And that is what often happens, that I think, how can I solve this? I'm bad in playing chess, but I love to solve problems. Every day I found something that need and solve.
So the key thing about the boat is that, unlike a lot of what I was doing in my job with programming, was very strategic and there was a lot of thinking, but often too it was a lot of, I don't really know if this has worked or not worked or changed this or had the impact the company wants it to have, or that my startup is successful. I'm not going to know this for 5 years, right? So you're making decisions today about something and you just really don't have that kind of feedback mechanism about this is going in the right way or not. With the boat, it breaks. I have a problem. I get to analyze it. I solve it. And now it's fixed. Until next time. But it is that sort of, it's a much more immediate feedback loop, and I find that personally very, very satisfying. I think if you don't like solving problems, boats are not for you.
No, exactly.
But if you do like solving problems and like knowing that they're actually solved, boats are great because they present all sorts of challenges, and then you can, get stuck into them and find interesting ways sometimes, or so that's part of it. But that iceberg thing, it's all under there. We're all building up. We're thinking about this. We want to make money. We don't want to go back into tech. We love being on boats. How can we combine those things? And we're like, we love hosting people on our boat, Matilda in Greece. We went through the exercise, this is under the iceberg, we went through the exercise of could we charter our boat in Greece? And Matilda was not a charterable boat for a whole bunch of different reasons. And we spoke to people about it, and we looked at it and we were just like, no, you can't do that. We can't run and do the experience we want, which is that, but on a barge we can. All right, so now we start thinking about barges. And then very quickly, all of that preparation and thinking and things comes together, and it looks like you go flip, but actually it's just like a logical consequence from everything else that's gone into it.
And again, whilst we now know the underlying experience and what happened, you act. And I think that many people, and I also feel sometimes a little bit like it, that is the reason why we have this interview, because you inspire me to take action. So I sometimes feel myself stuck in the thoughts, oh my goodness, but. So what is the worst that can happen? And then the worst that can happen makes me stop thinking about new things. And then I stop acting. So I do not take action for my next step. And that is something that almost time and time and time again, it seems as if the both of you do that.
Yeah, I think we just, I mean, it comes back to that love of new challenges and uncertainty as well. Like, it's just part of who we are.
Sometimes too, like, we really try and listen to our hearts and think about what do we really want.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we'll go for a walk and we'll just flesh it out. Pros and cons, sleep on it. And then the next day, let's do it, you know?
Yeah.
And I think we usually both kind of want the same thing, you know, which really helps. We haven't had a lot of big conflict in that respect.
Yeah.
But there's also, you kind of know in your core what you want and what makes you happy. And so taking that action and saying it out loud to each other, we're sort of more accountable to each other.
Yeah.
If we just internalized it and thought about it and dreamt about it and maybe complained about it, it's not going to happen. But if we really think about it, say it out loud, give ourselves a bit of a deadline.
Yeah.
Okay, so like, by the end of January, let's decide if we're really doing this or not.
But it also means that the moment that you share your thoughts, like, I don't feel happy in this situation right now, Tim does not feel beledigd. What is the word? It is not offended, attacked.
Yeah.
So I did not bring you the good life, something. So you are open in your communication, both in expressing and in receiving.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is
not always.
Yeah, that of course.
No, because I'm quite honest and sometimes maybe a bit blunt.
A bit
Dutch.
Dutch.
About, and like I sort of speak my mind, especially with him. I've known him for so long, you know, 35 years or whatever. So I've just open book with him, and so he doesn't have to worry too much about what does she really mean. Because I've just said it.
There is nothing between the lines.
Right. So the trust, I think, is there.
Oh yeah.
But also, I kind of know him so well too that I think I can tell when he's not happy.
Yeah.
And when he sort of is quick to have a temper, or there's a lot of muttering, or pacing back and forth.
All kinds of red flags.
Yeah, and then I'm like, ooh, okay, what should we do about this?
Yeah.
Because, you know, he has a family history of heart attacks, and stress is a killer, and you know, just sort of trying to like look out for each other.
Yeah.
Make sure we're both healthy and happy, and
But I think it's also again it's that the hidden bit, but that decision of what's the worst that could happen.
Yeah.
Like sometimes, you know, I said earlier, it's what's the worst that could happen, but also what's the worst that could happen if we don't act, right?
Yeah.
You know,
that is also one thing.
And like we know that we need to start. You know, we know we want to put ourselves back in a position where we can stop burning through our savings and start funding the lifestyle that we want.
Yeah.
Broadly speaking, that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, we could give up on it all and go back to tech. No.
Yeah. No.
Okay. We could charter Matilda. No, that doesn't work. Okay, so we have to different boat and charter that, and then maybe we can find a way of having the lifestyle that we want and the boat.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Or we can just do nothing and we can stay on Matilda and just continue living around Greece. And you sort of then at that point you go into your finances and you look at it and you say, well, what's the
how do you
worst
feel about ramen?
Yeah, what's the worst that can happen if that's what we do? And the worst that can happen when you do that is if we do nothing in 5 years, we hit a wall.
Yeah.
Where we have to do something.
Yeah.
Right?
Then you are forced.
And we're forced to do it.
Yeah.
So the decision is really about, do we do, you know, one of three things? We go back into tech.
Yeah.
We stay on Matilda.
Yeah.
Or can we find a lifestyle that we really want? And then we look at the lifestyle we really want, which is to be on a boat and making some money.
Yeah.
How do we do that? And then that other part of it was this thing of what happens if you don't make that decision, right? If you don't make that decision, we go into our finances and we look at what happens if we do nothing, and in 5 years' time...
You hit a wall.
You hit a wall.
Yeah.
And that's not desirable. I know that moving onto a boat and starting a hotel business, I know nothing about it, but I know that it's going to be more expensive than I think.
Yeah.
So if we make this decision now, we've got flexibility and an ability to actually roll with it as we discover what we need.
Yeah.
So then when you look at it like that, it's like do nothing and get forced into doing something.
Yeah.
Go back to a life that we know, well, we know we don't want that.
Yeah.
So go to a hotel boat and it's like, now's the time to do it because it's just logical, right? To me, it's just logical because if you're going to do it while you've got the resources to deal with the uncertainty.
Yeah.
And what we found is that that's in fact exactly what happened. I remember a conversation with Karina where we said, you know, if we do this now, this was February last year, so February 2024 that we made the decision. I said if we start now, everything going well, we might take bookings in February 2025.
Yeah.
And I said, if it doesn't go completely to plan, we're taking bookings in 2026.
Yeah.
It's 2 years, right?
Cool.
I said, if we leave it a year, let's say we decide to sail for another season on Matilda, and we don't start this until 2025, then I said, well, everything going well, maybe we take bookings in 2026, but if it doesn't go well, it's 2027, and then we're back into the, where we're going to hit a wall. So, again, that sort of like made that an easy decision over the course of we really need to do something to doing it over a week to work it out. And that's proven to be correct because as we've spoken about, probably realistically now we're unlikely to take bookings until next season. The boat's not yet quite finished. And that's okay. We're in a position now where, she's 90% done. That last 10% is it's dragging on. But we'll get there. And we'll be able to enjoy and cruise the routes and work it all out and So that's just my sort of like take on it.
I understand it. I understand it better. And that is because of my curiosity the moment that we had online contact. And we get to know each other a little bit, and then decision by decision was that I thought, what is going on in their mind that they went from again Australia, London, Australia, UK, US,
Greece.
and then Greece, and then sailing the happy life, and then now we know that there is a reason to start thinking again and making the right decisions. But then there's Belgium.
Belgium, funnily enough, is the easiest of those decisions.
Really?
Because, we I like to tackle problems. We like to think strategically about it. And so, having made the decision, right? So you've got to assume that we've now made the decision. We're going to run a hotel boat.
And we had thought France. It just seemed logical. It's where the whole industry started. And,
So the question is, if you're going to run a hotel boat, who do you speak to first?
So we're Googling hotel holidays. Oh, this website keeps coming up in our search results.
Okay.
Who's Barge Lady?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Barge Lady Cruises. Hey Tim, do you think I should just email her and ask her like what an ideal client would be or what an ideal boat would look like? And just and we're like thinking about it and saying, let's just ask her 2 questions, see how we go. Don't give her a big long list, Karina, like I know you want to do. Let's just keep it simple and just
let's start the conversation.
But more importantly, so that's true, but it's also about that thinking about how do we get the knowledge that we need? And who's going to have it, right?
And what happened then?
Well, we emailed and we got a response, and she then called Tim's phone without plan. Like, I'm just so used to a life in tech where you plan in phone calls, right? She just rang his phone because she's this awesome 78-year-old lady, and she just wants to tell us all about it. So she gave us an hour of her time.
Wow.
And explained a lot of what we needed to hear.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And what is her function?
So she's a broker. So
she's a broker.
So the broker.
Oh, yeah.
So this is like where we started researching online.
Yeah.
Looking at what other people are doing, looking
Yeah.
at how the industry is set up and how it runs.
Yeah.
And then what Karina is saying here is you very quickly see that the way in which this business runs is it runs through brokers.
Yeah.
Most of the clients that come on this boat will
Yeah.
be Americans.
Yeah.
That's not saying others can't come, it's just
Yeah.
the reality of the business, right?
Yeah.
90% of them are Americans.
Yeah.
And they book their holiday through someone like Barge Lady, who's the largest broker of barge cruises in Europe
Wow.
of this sort
Yeah.
in the
Amazing.
US, based out of Chicago. She's
Yeah.
been doing this for 30-something years.
Yeah.
So, an amazing resource to tap into,
Yeah.
and an amazing sort of insight by Karina to have that idea that,
Yeah.
you know, we should email her and ask her.
Yeah.
As soon as you start talking to Barge Lady and say, well, we're thinking about buying a barge and we want to operate it in
Yeah.
France, before you know it, it's like,
Don't.
let me tell you exactly why you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
And
And now she becomes a very, very valuable
She's an
source.
advisor.
Right.
Yeah.
yeah, so she's an advisor because, and it's funny, like you sort of think, oh, do I really want to email these people? But really, it's in her interest, right?
Yeah.
She makes money by booking hotel boats,
Exactly.
so the more
Yeah.
quality boats,
Yeah. She
that
will
I
get.
think.
Yeah.
So she gave us invaluable advice. She basically said, it's actually Stephanie, but her daughter, when we spoke with her, but they basically said, look, France has got a range of different issues at the moment in this industry. There are about 70 boats like this one of various sizes in France.
Yeah.
France is having issues with water running out in the canals,
Yeah.
blocking them down. So
Yeah.
there's maintenance issues on the canals
Enormous.
in France because of the way in which funding has changed.
Yeah.
And a lot of the operators there are already looking to get out.
Oh, yeah.
And they said, pretty much, what do you think about Belgium? Right? We have clients that are interested in exploring new places. They've been to the Netherlands, they've been to France.
Yeah.
There's this
forgotten Belgium.
little
Yep.
forgotten country
Yep.
in between called Belgium that also has good canal network,
Yeah.
good infrastructure,
Yeah.
it's generally well maintained,
Yeah.
Beautiful medieval cities.
beautiful medieval
Yeah.
cities,
Yeah. A lot of history.
and a lot of
For sure.
history,
Yeah.
and clients that are interested in it. But there's not this sort of boat here. It's not to say there are other barge companies here,
Yeah.
but they're not running this sort of business.
Yeah.
So we're kind of one of the first.
Yeah.
And I think she even framed it to us on the phone call. How do you feel about taking a risk? And we
Yeah.
were like,
Yes.
I'm like, yeah.
She is talking our
like,
language.
That does not scare us.
You
Like,
look at me.
we're both firstborn children. Like, we like being in the lead. We
Oh, yeah.
like trying new things.
Yeah.
And that was, I think, we're like, yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel about taking a risk? Or how do we feel about not taking
Yeah.
a risk that's not very attractive?
No.
So,
And also that feeling of if it doesn't work out in Belgium,
Yeah.
we just try Luxembourg or
Yeah.
France or,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
like it's
You
not
could-
the end of the
again,
world.
what's the
you
worst
know?
that can happen if Belgium doesn't work out?
Yeah.
We take the boat to France, or we
Yeah.
take the boat to the Netherlands,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that decision was made very, very quickly.
Mm.
And then the other decision, honestly, once we decided that, it's like, okay, great, let's.
We get
You know.
the map out, we figure out
Yeah.
where is Belgium again?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
are the main cities?
And then okay, yes, the decision. So there are things about some of the decisions we make are completely arbitrary.
Mm.
So I also like to think about decisions. You know, I like to gather the information I can, but
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
I know, or I personally believe anyway, that the worst thing you can do is not make a decision.
Yeah.
Right. So sometimes, in the absence of any information, any decision
Yeah.
is a good decision.
Go for it.
So we literally looked at the map
Yeah.
and we went, Antwerp's way too busy.
Yeah.
Bruges is like, yeah, that's got to be on the route,
Yeah.
but
Colin Farrell lives there. So.
you know, too.
We all
that-
seen the
but-
movie in Bruges.
Oh
like, it's
yeah, okay,
beautiful
but that is a
and-
joke nobody understands. I think.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
But, you know, like it's a city we'd heard of and we knew it was beautiful.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
got to be on the route, but also very quickly when you do a bit of research,
Yeah.
what we've learnt about ourselves is we love university towns,
Yeah.
because they tend to be sort of lively,
Yeah,
vibrant,
I agree
good
completely.
food, all of this sort
Yeah.
of stuff.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's like, oh, there's this place called Gent.
Yeah.
In the middle. We'd probably heard of it before, but I couldn't really tell you much about it. And so we're just like, it's in the right spot.
Yeah.
We're moving to Gent.
Yeah.
And that was the decision. And then everything then became easier because it's like, where are you moving? We're moving to Belgium. We're in Belgium. We're moving to Gent. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. This is what we need to do, and we can start.
Find the lawyer, find the accountant, get a bank
How does it
account.
work?
Just
And again, like you did with the barge lady, you ask them a couple of questions and people say, let me help you.
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
so helpful here.
Yeah,
Like they're so friendly. Everyone's very engaged by our story and what we're trying to do. And you know, I was expecting a little more negativity, like, oh, you can't do that here. Or, you know, well, do you have the money for this?
Yeah.
But no, actually, they're just kind of like, well, we wish you the very best. And you really need to go to this restaurant and you need to talk to that man. And, you know, they're really extending their network to us and helping us.
Yeah, we just found that the more information, so each little decision along the way leads you into more information. The more information you have, the more you can do. But it all breaks down to sort of knowing the big goal, which is we want to get onto a hotel barge. We want to operate this. What's the next thing that I can do? And every morning when we wake up, like literally almost every day, we try not to work on Sundays. That's like a rule for us. Because if we don't deliberately take a day off, we just will burn ourselves out. So don't work on Sundays. But every morning when we wake up, it's like, what's the thing that I can do today that pushes me towards
our goal? We're very motivated, actually. I feel very lucky that we're on the same page.
Are you more motivated than when you were in Athens?
Yeah.
I mean, in Athens
listen. To your reactions.
Just not a care in the world, really. Okay, the weather and are we in the right place?
Yeah.
You know, once the boat was dealt with, it was almost boring. Like, because
girl,
I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been fun. I still sometimes miss Greece.
Okay, listen. So we need to finish the thing. The reason why we had this coffee time, it is time for a second one, by the way. Hint. No, stay.
These Dutch people are so subtle.
Yeah, so subtle. So you made steps and you leaped into a lifestyle that is not common. And that is exactly the reason why I wanted to ask these questions and talk to you about it, because it is, I think that most of my viewers, perhaps they know one or two people who do this, but there is always this curiosity from what's wrong with them?
A lot.
But also you told us about your decision making and the fact that every time you talk to each other as a couple, and there's a bond about this, are we happy at the moment, and if we continue, are we still happy, or shall we stop and start something else? What we do now, and that is something that I think is very inspirational.
Thank you.
So may I end this for now and say thank you very much for, well, it went smooth. We had, yesterday we also had a jet, and before we knew it, it was 5 hours later.
Yeah.
It could happen the same way in this jet, but we have to end it.
Yes.
So thank you very much.
Yeah, it's been lovely seeing you in person.
Wow.
And I'm looking forward to our tour of Ghent this afternoon.
Yeah, the moment that it is dry, then we will go out.
Yeah, because apparently Henk-Jan is made of sugar.
As a good Dutchman, I am made of sugar. For a reason, I am on a motorboat, and I am not on a sailboat anymore.
In the elements.
Standing in the elements behind the wheel and then in the rain. That is not so. I will not bike in the rain if it is not necessary.
Well. No, it's been an absolute pleasure having a conversation. I hope that there's something in there you can use. And we're just, we're excited. If people want to follow along with our journey,
I will notice.
Put the blog down the bottom.
Yeah.
You're welcome to come and see what we're doing.
Yeah.
Most of our journey is about renovating a historic barge and turning it into a At the moment, that's the journey.
Yeah.
Before it was being in Greece, but
Yeah.
you know, so if you're interested in boat
Yeah.
remodel videos and content, that's what we have.
You have to go and
You're welcome to follow along.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Oh.
Perfect, on cue.
And then on the day that I edited this video, the sun is out in the Netherlands. What a beautiful day is today. I hope you liked this interview with Tim and Karina. Go visit his blog and have a look on how they continue their journey in life. And if you liked it, please let me know by giving the thumbs up. And how about this? Do I see you in the next video? Alright then, bye bye.